What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blueblood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we have some very, very interesting news that the longest reigning champion in the sport of boxing has come to an end between former WBC featherweight world champion, superstar boxer, Mr. Gary Russell Jr. 31 wins, now 2 losses, no draws, 18 wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'4" with a 64-inch arm reach. As he lost his titles to Mark Magsayo, who was the newly crowned featherweight WBC champion, 24 wins, no loss and no draws, 16 wins by way of knockout, 26 years of age, 5'6" with a 68-inch arm reach. This took place this past Saturday, January 22nd, in New Jersey at Atlantic City in the Boardwalk. With that said, there was a lot of controversy that surrounded this fight because in the 4th round of the fight, Gary Russell Jr. clearly injured his right shoulder, which saw him not be able to use his lead hand, his jab hand, for the duration of the fight, and he made it to the 12th round. But even then, Gary Russell still was neutralizing Mark Magsayo in the fight, and he was winning the rounds, still throwing combinations with his left hand. Gary Russell is a southpaw. Mark Magsayo is a orthodox fighter. So Gary Russell was still able to use his left hand, his power hand, but he wasn't able to use his lead hand, his jab hand, to set up his punches. But he still was throwing combinations. He was making Mark Magsayo miss punches widely, and the fight still ended in a majority decision victory in favor of Mark Magsayo. So there's a lot of people feeling like Gary Russell Jr. was duped in this fight, meaning that Gary Russell Jr. was robbed. Many people thought Gary Russell Jr. still won the fight, including myself. Now, obviously, Gary Russell had limitations. So did he win as clearly as many people think he should have won? No. But he won the fight. He still landed the cleaner punches. He still landed combinations. And he was very predictable because he only had one hand in the fight. Now, Gary Russell's career has been very, very interesting because Gary Russell Jr. has fought once a year since 2014. Okay, he fought twice in 2014, once in 2015, once in 2016, once in 2017, once in 2018, once in 2019, once in 2020. Then he didn't fight for 2 years, and he fought Mark Magsayo in 2022. Okay, so 2-year layoff since we saw Gary Russell Jr. in the ring. Now, Gary Russell, he's been trying to get the biggest names in the sport of boxing to fight him, but he just was unsuccessful in doing so. And Gary Russell, he feels like the powers that be were blocking Gary Russell from getting the fights that he was looking to get. Okay, he was calling out 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Leo Santa Cruz for years for unification bouts. Leo Santa Cruz is now 37 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 19 wins by way of knockout. He himself was knocked out brutally by 3-division undefeated world champion superstar boxer Gervonta Tank Davis. Leo Santa Cruz, 5'7" with a 69-inch arm reach. Okay, so Leo Santa Cruz Gary Russell had been calling Leo Santa Cruz out for quite some time. Okay, and the fight was never able to come to fruition. He was never able to secure a fight with Leo Santa Cruz as he wanted to. Leo Santa Cruz is also 33 years of age. It would have been a huge unification bout, okay? Then there's another fighter who Gary Russell was trying to secure a fight with, and he was not able to secure a fight with this fighter, okay? And that is Rey Vargas. Rey Vargas is a 2-division world champion. Rey Vargas is undefeated, Mexican superstar boxer, 35 wins, no losses, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout, 31 years of age, 5'10.5" with a 70-inch arm reach, okay? So with that said, Rey Vargas, he even became Gary Russell's mandatory challenger, okay? So with that said, it was expected to see Rey Vargas versus Gary Russell Jr., but that fight never came to fruition. He was his mandatory. And then out of the blue, it was being announced that Gary Russell Jr. was going to fight legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pacquiao, protege and fighter in Mark Magsayo. Okay, Filipino superstar boxer in Manny Pacquiao, his star Filipino boxer Mark Magsayo was going to be the fight for Gary Russell Jr. So obviously they fought. We know the outcome. And now Gary Russell has been calling for an immediate rematch, okay, to clarify things, because obviously, clearly, Gary Russell, he only had one arm in the fight, okay? So he had a handicap in the fight. But with that said, miraculously, just 3 days later, today is Tuesday, they fought on Saturday. 3 days later, okay, Gary Russell has now been denied the opportunity to fight in a rematch. But get this now. Now, Mark Magsayo has been ordered to face off now against, you got it, Rey Vargas. So now Rey Vargas has accepted the opportunity to fight Mark Magsayo and or Leo Santa Cruz by the World Boxing Council, better known as the WBC. Now they have ordered that Rey Vargas gets his opportunity to fight for the world title vacated by, picked up 72 hours ago by Mark Magsayo, okay? And they're giving him the opportunity to possibly face off against Leo Santa Cruz. So if he don't honor the fight and the mandatory position against against Rey Vargas, they're going to give Mark Magsayo the opportunity to face off against Leo Santa Cruz. Okay, and Mark Magsayo is saying that he wants to fight Leo Santa Cruz, and he would love to fight Rey Vargas, but obviously Leo Santa Cruz is a much bigger name and a much bigger star. And this lends to what Gary Russell has been saying, that the politics within the sport of boxing has been preventing Gary Russell from getting the signature big fights that he has been seeking out. Okay, because now you're going to have Mark Magsayo just 72 hours later getting the opportunity to fight Rey Vargas, a fight that would have been huge for Gary Russell Jr., but never came to fruition, and or the opportunity to face off against Leo Santa Cruz in a unification bout, because Leo Santa Cruz is a 4-division champion, but Leo Santa Cruz still holds his title at 126. So therefore, Leo Santa Cruz and Mark Magsayo can go into a highly anticipated unification bout that was anticipated initially by Gary Russell and Leo Santa Cruz. That's the fight that everybody was looking forward to. And now suddenly, right, Mark Magsayo is going to get the opportunity to fight against Leo Santa Cruz or Rey Vargas in his next fight, as the WBC has now ordered it, or he could get both Leo Santa Cruz and Rey Vargas in his next 2 fights. Okay, so he's going to get the opportunity to have 2 mega fights in his next few fights. Isn't that something? But Gary Russell for years has been trying to secure a fight with Leo Santa Cruz, and Rey Vargas was his mandatory, and he was unable to secure it. He was also looking for fights against the likes of Abner Mares, who refused to fight him. Okay, there's big fights out there for Gary Russell Jr. that Gary Russell Jr. was denied the opportunity to fight these big fights. And now suddenly, just 72 hours later, the WBC has made a decision, instead of giving Gary Russell Jr., who held the belt for 6 years, the opportunity to regain his belt. Okay, they're going to allow Mark Magsayo to go into the fights that Gary Russell had been seeking out for years. He's going to get him within 72 hours of winning the title. But Gary Russell Jr. for years couldn't secure a fight with Leo Santa Cruz, and most recently he couldn't secure a fight with Rey Vargas. Rey Vargas decided to go in a different direction and fight a different opponent, okay, opposed to fighting Gary Russell Jr. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So this lends what Gary Russell has been saying all along, that the powers that be just don't want to see Gary Russell get his opportunity. Period. And it's truly, truly unfortunate. So you saw Rey Vargas come back after the 2-year layoff. Now, what's interesting is Gary Russell and Rey Vargas both would have been coming off a 2-year layoff in their fight. But Rey Vargas decided to fight Leandro Baez, where he got a unanimous decision, opposed to fighting Gary Russell Jr. Leo Santa Cruz has been holding out from a Gary Russell Jr. fight forever and a day, and Mark Magsayo comes right in and gets the opportunity. Was this a plan to begin with, that if it went to a decision, Mark Magsayo was going to get the nod? He didn't look that very impressive with a guy in there with one arm. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.